You have 5 seconds to tell me which musical genre or rhythm you're hearing. Is it salsa, merengue, bachata, or cumbia? Here we go. What was that one? Cumbia. Merengue. Bachata. So that should be easy because there's only one more, and it's salsa. So why are we doing this? Because when you go to a party as a new or improving salsa dancer or just dancer in general, you're never sure what music they're playing. Do I dance salsa to this song? Do I dance bachata to this song? Is it a cumbia? Is it a merengue? So I'm going to help you today understand the differences between those musical genres so that when you go to the party, you know what to dance. If you don't already know me, I'm Robin. I'm from thedancedojo.com. And if you're a new and improving dancer who wants to become a great social dancer, we have salsa and bachata online courses that are amazing for you. So let's get into it. We are going to start with cumbia. So these are the characteristics of cumbia. Cumbia came from the Caribbean coast of Colombia, mixing the indigenous of Colombia with the African slaves that were brought over. And so this is a very traditional cumbia that you're going to see here. And then we're going to build into something a little bit more modern. So you're not going to see most people dancing cumbia in this way. Again, very folkloric, very traditional. But you can see the instruments they're using. Flutes, they've got these drums, tambors. I believe one of them is tambor alegre, and they have various drums they can use. You're going to also hear the shaker. And I'd say that's probably one of the easiest ways to tell it's a cumbia is because of the okay? So, there's a traditional cumbia. Now let's move into another cumbia song. So this cumbia has an accordion, and this was the European edition from the Spaniards also arriving to Colombia. So to mix the indigenous instruments with the African influence with the European. Again, what's very consistent here is the or sometimes it's more stuck, but that's definitely always cumbia. Okay? Next song, this one's more modern, and this is from Mexico. So every country in Latin America is going to have their own variants of cumbia, and each might sound a bit different. This is going to be more modern, a bigger band. And you can see there's a big group here. They've got lots of different kinds of instruments. It's more modernized, let's call it. So they've got drums, they've got the accordion here, they've got a shaker right there, and of course, vocals. I'm just going to speed ahead a little bit. So they've got horns as well. It'll be like a newer addition that's less traditional. But as you can hear, they still got that. And for me, that's the first thing I hear, and I know it's a cumbia. Okay, so let's move on to bachata. So cumbia came first historically, and I'll give you a little table of information later so you can see the differences between the genres. Let's move into bachata. So cumbia is all about that, and that's usually some sort of shaker instrument. So
in
bachata,
this DVD, the bachata breakdown.
You've got the bongo, you've got the huira, you've got the bass guitar, you've got the segundo guitar, which is the rhythm guitar, and the requinto, which plays the melody.
We're going to explain in the DVD.
So it's all about the bongo, the huira, and the guitars. That's basically a traditional bachata. So you can hear that percussion being played by the bongo and the huira. But again, this is different than the cumbia because the cumbia is the sound of the güiro or the güira, the shaker instrument, is going to be in cumbia. And in bachata, it's either going to be, watch the güira here, which is not, it's just, or it's going to be, let's see, here, in the beginning. But I'd say the most obvious thing in the bachata is going to be the guitars. So the mix of the bongo, and the guitars, okay? So when you first heard these guys start, you hear that on the bongo, okay? So let's go to the next song. So again, this is a traditional bachata. And you hear the guitars right away. Let's go a little bit further. You can kind of hear the tak of the bongo. But you can definitely hear the güira. Okay. And then next came a group called Aventura, which kind of modernized the bachata a little bit more. The first thing I heard was the guitar. And you can hear the bongos. Okay, and bachata is usually going to be slower. Cumbia is also quite slow. So bachata is slow, and it usually has some sort of like romantic feel to it. Not always, but most of the time. So then here's a modern bachata. Again, if you listen closely, you can hear the bongo in the background. That gives it its rhythm. Past the vocals here. So you're hearing more percussion right now, and then a little bit of guitar there. There. Now there go the guitars. So that's very characteristic of bachata. Okay. So we had cumbia, we had bachata. Now let's move on to merengue. So the way that I hear merengue is as soon as I hear the merengue song, it sounds like a party is starting. If you're North American, specifically for the North Americans, if you've ever been to a Mexican resort, you've heard this song. And then here comes the rhythm, the percussion, and the horn. So when you dance merengue, you're just stepping, you're marching. So it has very much like a marching feel throughout the whole song. So let's go forward. So you still have this marching sensation or feeling, and that's how you dance it. Just 1, 2, 1, 2. And again, throughout the whole song, that marching feel stays strong. And the energy can be pretty similar throughout the song. So with a merengue, it's never going to feel slow, and it's always going to kind of feel like energetic and like it's a party. Okay, so cumbia can be slow, bachata can be kind of slow, merengue is going to feel upbeat and energetic. So here's another song. Definitely not slow, yeah? Again, just march, 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 march. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, here's one more.
Si quieres decocotarse o de huesarse el espinazo, no vacile mi amiga si ven corriendo el teca, a sudar la gota gorda bailando con coco, bye.
Again, not very slow at all. As soon as it kicked in, really high energy. And that high energy continues throughout the song. So for me, the easiest way to tell it's a merengue is it's very high energy, it has this marching feel to it, and that energy stays high throughout the song. So now let's get into salsa, which can be much more varied. In general, salsa groups are much bigger, and there's a lot more instruments going on, a lot more different kind of rhythms. There's syncopations, which means there's like and 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7. And so there's lots of layers of instruments, which you're probably going to hear. Whereas the other songs we just heard, so Cumbia is quite simple and slow. Bachata is quite slow, and there's lots of guitar and bongo and the huira. And then Merengue is just kind of like the party, which there's kind of a lot going on musically. But the energy, the high energy goes throughout, is steady throughout the song. With the salsa, you can kind of hear changes. So there's kind of this like introduction, but you can hear lots of percussion, horns, but it definitely doesn't sound like a merengue. It doesn't sound like step, 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 step. There's no marching feel. Let's continue. There's usually an intro, and there's usually like verses where they tell a story. Now, the energy in the song is kind of picking up. And you have this call and response. So there's a chorus, and there's a lead singer, and they go back and forth. It's very characteristic of salsa. And now there's no more vocals, so you're getting different sections, very clear sections. It's just instrumental. And now this call and response is coming back with the lead singer and the chorus for the horns. Okay, let's listen to another salsa. Here you can actually see the band, so you can see there's timbale player, there's congas here, there's bongos. Sorry, here, let me stop that for a second. Okay, so you've got conga players, you've got a pianist over here, you've got the timbales drums, you've got a bongo player who's standing behind the vocalist, you've got trumpets and you've got trombones, you've probably got some saxophones over here. So in general, there's just a lot more layers of instruments and things going on in salsa. And you're going to get these sort of cuts in the music, these breaks. So he's telling the story. Again, you're not really hearing guitars. You're not hearing the huira going ch-ch-ch like in bachata. You're not really hearing the ch-ch-ch-ch-ch like cumbia. And the energy isn't super high right from the beginning like merengue. Sometimes it can be. Every salsa is a bit different. But I think you can probably hear the difference between this and merengue. I'm going to go forward in the song. And then the energy builds, builds, builds. You can hear the percussion kind of up the energy. We've got this call and response again. With the vocalist. Again, here's the call and response with the chorus and the vocalist. Okay, and then there's also kind of different types of salsa. So this is going to be more like a romantic salsa. It's more popular in the 80s, 90s. There's an intro, and then usually the vocalist comes in and starts telling the story. Here he comes. So this is a romantic salsa. So the energy can kind of change in the song a little bit, but it's more about the vocals, about the love story. So here, there's no vocals, just the instruments, higher energy. So there we go. Those are the basics of the differences in the music. So let's quickly recap. So we had cumbia, which was from Colombia's Caribbean coast, And it came about in the 17th and 18th century. So that was when the African slaves arrived and mixed with the indigenous in Colombia. It is the slowest, so it's about 80 to 120 beats per minute. There's some common instruments here on the right I won't go through. So after cumbia, the next one was merengue, and merengue is from the Dominican Republic, and it was about 1800s, and it's faster. So the speed of merengue and salsa is more similar. So it's 160 to 200 beats per minute, and salsa is 150 to 250, so salsa can actually be faster. So merengue came next, and then bachata came after merengue, and it was also from the Dominican Republic. So there is a merengue influence in bachata. Bachata is going to be slower, so cumbia is the slowest, bachata is the next slowest. And again, the focus is on those guitars, the bongo, and the huira. And then you have salsa, which was influenced by Cuban and Puerto Rican rhythms, but those people migrated to New York, and that's where salsa came from in the 60s and the 70s. Again, there's a history of mambo before that, but salsa as a commercial genre came out in the 60s and 70s in New York and spread. It is the fastest, and you're gonna get a lot of instruments. You're gonna have congas, bongos, timbales, you're gonna have the cowbell, various kinds of bells, trumpets, trombones, there can be saxophones, there's gonna be piano, bass. They can even bring in violins, a vibraphone, so there's more just layers, there's just more instruments going on in salsa. It's definitely the most complex. So for your final test, we're gonna see if now you can use those differences that I've explained to do the quiz again and see how you score. Can you tell the difference between salsa, merengue, cumbia, and bachata? Here we go. So tell me which rhythm you hear. Here's the last 4 songs. So what's that? What are you hearing? I hear. So that's cumbia. Next. So that's salsa. You can kind of tell because in the intro you've got the horns, you've got that percussion, the congas, and then you had this kind of break in the music and it went into the vocals, which is very characteristic of the structure of salsa. Next song. So it probably didn't take you too long to figure out that was merengue, high energy right from the beginning. It feels like a party. It's got that 1, 2, 1, 2 marching feel. So lastly, you probably heard it right away. The bongo and the guitars, yeah? Kind of slower, romantic feel. Bachata. So I hope this helps you tell the difference between the different musical genres that you might hear at a party. Typically when you go to socials, they probably tell you what music they're playing, but if you just go to a Latin bar or you're just at some Latin party, Latino party, then you might not know what's going to be played, and so it could be a mix of everything. So hopefully this helps you next time you're at a party, you can tell the difference between that song so you know how to dance to it. If you're looking for salsa and bachata online programs to help you take your dancing to the next level, the dancedojo.com is where you want to look. There's a free trial for 1 week, and I know you're going to love it. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.